All right, so I got a buddy that is asking, he'd like to buy a super bike or a sport bike. He's not much of a rider, but he says, what bike should I ride? And of course I say, absolutely, hands down, the Honda RC51. And he's familiar with the bike. He knows that I love the bike. And he says, well, is it just because of the V-twin and the sound? Is that why? And, it's like, I don't know, I kind of felt like a crypto nerd, wanting to just like sit him down and have a long chat and convince him all the reasons why this is such an iconic bike. And that was his choice of words, is why is it so iconic? And so I thought, well, man, this would be a good video for us to talk about. And I think maybe I've got a couple different perspectives that aren't as widely covered, right? So of course, yeah, it's the V-twin, it's the sound, it's an enjoyable bike to ride, but like for a spec sheet bike, this shouldn't be what it is, right? It's not that impressive on the spec sheet. It's got what, 136 horsepower stock. It's a heavy bike. It was a heavy bike even in its day, right? Compared to the 929, 954 and the CBR 1000 RR that were made at the same time as this bike, right? So yeah, of course we all know the Nicky Hayden story, and that's what this is, a Nicky Hayden edition, right? And of course I gotta plug my plates a little bit. I got some new plates. There we are. I'm pretty proud of those. I'm an RC51 geek now. I know I'm not the first to do that, and I won't be the last. I have a niece named Hayden, and one of my buddies, his last name is Hayden too, so yeah, it's appropriate. But yeah, so we talk about Nicky Hayden. He won the 2002 AMA championship with this bike. He won the Daytona 200 with this bike, but we don't talk a lot about everybody else that rode this bike and won on this bike, right? So of course we know Colin Edwards won World Superbike on this bike in 2000 and 2002. 2002 was like an epic year competition wise. So Hayden won this bike in 2002. You've got Colin Edwards, World Superbike 2002. And at the same time, you've got Honda winning the MotoGP championships, right? So it's like you win in America, you win in Europe, you win MotoGP. Just pretty epic time to be winning. Not so much covered in the US here is you've got Joey Dunlop. So Joey Dunlop was a TT racer. He died not on this bike. He raced in a lot of different TT events, died on a different bike. But they have a statue of Joey Dunlop in Isle of Man, and he's on this bike, right? So you've got a statue of this bike. I mean, that's absolutely awesome. They moved to I don't know, I'm just kind of bouncing around here, but 2003, you got Miguel Duhamel won the Daytona 200 on this bike too, right? That's not talked about probably as much as it should, is this bike won 2 years in a row Daytona 200 back to back, right? And then you've got, we already mentioned Colin Edwards, but Colin Edwards and Valentino Rossi. Nobody really thinks of Valentino Rossi when they think of the Honda RC51, but those two paired up. I think it was an 8-hour endurance race. I'm probably going to say it wrong. I should have looked it up. I think it was Suzuka. But yeah, you got an endurance race combo of Valentino Rossi and Colin Edwards. And then you got Ben Bostrom winning on this bike too. And Ben, went on to win a handful back-to-back races in World Superbike. So celebrated American rider, as well as World Superbike. And Ben Bostrom himself has bikes that are, livery bikes like this. He's got the Ducati, the Ben Bostrom edition. I think it's a 999 if I'm not mistaken, which is just a beautiful bike too, kind of wild paint scheme, right? So you just gotta have a lot of racers here that have history with this bike. And when you look at the commonality of all those guys, you got Nicky Hayden, Colin Edwards, Joey Dunlop, Miguel Duhamel, Ben Bostrom. I missed one. I think I missed one. Who did I miss? But all those guys are just like super charismatic guys, right? So it's not like, oh, you had someone that didn't have a great personality. You had all these like just wild I don't want to say wild, but like just very personable, very quotable guys riding this bike, winning on this bike, right? So like I think that adds to it. You know, we don't talk about this too, but when this bike came out in 2000. So if you put yourself back in that day of 2000, think of the bikes that were out, right? So yeah, the 929 just came out. We had the R1 with the CBR 900RR, and those were like good looking bikes, right? A different style of today, or even of this bike, but like they were still good looking bikes. But when you look back at like the 600s, there were a lot of ugly 600s, you know, like the banana seat bikes, you know, that, you know, when they came out the R6, like that was like a great looking 600cc bike that had the step up, right? It wasn't just one seat going from the rider seat to the passenger. It was separate. It looked like a race bike. And a lot of bikes back then, you think of like the CBR F3 and even the early F4 before the F4i, that was still a banana seat bike, right? So like in 2000 when this bike came out, it was just one of the better looking bikes. Yeah, all the other manufacturers caught up to it in those years, but like for 2000, this was just like an epic looking bike. I remember looking in the showroom and I mean, I couldn't look away from it. I still can't look away from it, right? So it's just a gorgeous, you know, looking bike. And it was to me, it was breakthrough for the time, but like it stood the test of time, right? You look at this right now, you just can't look away. I just absolutely love looking at this bike, right? So just a few reasons that are probably not talked about so much, that I don't know, just a different perspective. It's funny. I'll talk about it in a different video, but this bike does attract people that take care of them maybe a little bit better. Yeah, you see every once in a while a few that are trashed, but for the most part, these bikes were expensive bikes that ended up in the hands of people that took care of them, that appreciated it, right? This was a more expensive bike than the CBR at the time, right? So like it took someone that saw the value of it, that absolutely loved it, that you know, appreciated it, right? And so you got a lot of older riders. It's crazy to me on the message forums and things like that. I say message forums, that shows my age. Facebook groups that are old guys, right? This is not a young man's bike. You know, it's not unheard of to have a younger rider, you know, when I say younger, I'm gonna say, you know, 30s, that's gonna, you know, buy an old CBR or something like that. But, you know, these RC51s, it's super common for guys in their 60s and 70s to have these bikes, right? And even as to, you know, for the first time owning this bike, right? You'll have guys in their 50s and 60s that, yeah, they've been around motorcycles and they've had sport bikes and powerful bikes before, but it's like, hey, I've always wanted an RC51. I'm gonna go get one. Like, I think that's just like super cool. There's a flip side of it. You know, if you pull up to a bike meet, a lot of the younger kids aren't gonna know what this is. And then if you tell them like how much horsepower it is, like you kind of cringe when you say it, right? It's embarrassing compared to, you know, all the 200 horsepower bikes of today. So, you know, just wanted to give some feedback here, just my own personal opinion why this bike is so iconic, you know, and tied to the race history, and of course the looks of the day. If you've made it this far in this video, I've got a little surprise for you. I have purchased a Ducati V4R. It's a 2019. It is on its way. It's on a truck. It's coming from Florida. And so I'm really excited to cover that bike. So if you have gotten this far in this video, help this video out. Just comment down below V4R. You know, and all comments help the videos. It helps the algorithm, right? So if you think that I'm just full of crap, if you think this is an ugly bike, if you think it's overhyped, let us know in the comments. Like I like the debates. Even, you know, I guess, you know, keep it respectful, but you know, there are other bikes, right? This is the one for me. If I could only have one bike, it'd be this bike. I like to ride tons of bikes. You know, I'm excited about my Ducati. I'm not getting rid of this bike. They're going to be completely different. I've had a V4S before, so the V4R will be you know, quite different. But you know, I'll even put them side by side. You know, wings versus not wings. You know, and horsepower, you know, that V4R is going to be 98 more horsepower with the race exhaust than this bike, I guess, stock, right? So yeah, we're talking 230 some horsepower versus this one being 136. So that's quite a bit of difference. So, but yeah, if you like the video, obviously you can tell I'm trying to provide a little bit better quality. I invested in some mics, so hopefully you guys don't have quite a bit of wind noise. Had a few people commenting on that, so hopefully the sound quality of this video is a little bit better. If you like the video, like and subscribe, especially if you want to see that V4R that I bought. I'm just a regular guy. I'm not a racer. I'm not going to be doing wheelies, 200 miles an hour down the highway, stuff like that. I just enjoy bikes, enjoy talking about them, enjoy riding them, and I enjoy switching out bikes every once in a while. I'll always keep this bike, or at least an RC51. I've thought about maybe trading this one in for a nicer one, but I've got some history with this bike. I've had this bike twice now. I've owned it the second time longer than the first time, but yeah, 17 years ago I put these pipes on. Had 2 owners after me, and I've enjoyed having it back, and I don't think I'll let it go. So, all right, you guys have a good one. Talk to you later.